Here with Concordia head cross country coach Matt Beisel to preview the 2020-21 season. As we record this, not too far away from the first official beat, and I know you've had a little bit of preseason as well to look at your team. So what are some of the highlights of what the team has done together so far since you got back?
Yeah, we've had about 2.5 days together and have done all kinds of fun activities, lots of name games, get to know you stuff. We have a huge freshman class. We have 20 freshmen, which includes one transfer, and they have just clicked with our upperclassmen. It's been really cool to see. And so we've gotten some good workouts done early in the morning. We had a time trial the other day that gave me some good information, and we're able to follow that with a really hard workout immediately afterwards, and they crushed it. So through the whole summer, I've seen them submitting times and so forth. They're looking really good right now, so that's exciting. But I think the biggest thing for me, we clearly appeared to be in a position to do well on the GPAC on both sides. But more important to me, at a certain level, is just having a family, and these kids are a family.
Well, last season probably feels like a really long time ago, especially when you have indoor and outdoor track in between that time period. But both teams won a meet and placed women 4th, men 6th in the conference. What was your biggest takeaway from last season, and maybe stuff you hope you can build upon?
Yeah, we none of us were happy with how this season ended up. Our goal is to be top 3 in GPAC, if not win it, in all of our sports here at Concordia. And we had come off of a win the year before with the women, with a 12th place finish at nationals, and had lost a couple of girls, but we're looking really strong. And on the guys' side, we had gentlemen that were running the best of their life, just crushing it. And then a series of events happened, and I always say, hey, I've got to be part of this blame too, just in maybe the way that we trained and so forth. There's been a lot of thinking put into that, but I think also just the stress of dealing with COVID and walking on eggshells, and just emotionally the drain on all of us. And it's something we've talked about and gone, look, we need to do it differently. In fact, last track season, we were all able to relax, and I just think it was always in our heads, oh my gosh, we're going to get quarantined and we're not going to be able to compete well. So I think there was a lot of stress that we've never seen before. And then we had some health issues. We had 2 of our top guys get weird injuries, and they weren't able to run at conference or run well at conference. And then we had some mishaps on the girls' side with an asthma attack. And you just never know. So it's like we walked away from the GPAC and we're like, okay, let's just forget that ever happened. It's not what we wanted. And I think that's been on the minds of my returning athletes ever since. And I think they want something different this year.
How about what did you take away from indoor and outdoor from a distance perspective? And maybe some of them were able to kind of rebound and do some good things too in track season.
It was definitely a confidence booster, and it was a way for, I think, my athletes to go, oh, okay, all right, we're okay. And I had so many kids, many of whom are returners this year, who were all conference in one or more events, a number of national qualifiers and individual events and relays, and also multiple All-Americans in the distance medley relay and the 4x400. And so those kids did great, and we learned a lot about what their capabilities were. So that is definitely something that has been on my mind as we head into this season.
Well, I thought maybe we could start with a little bit of a breakdown of the men's team. A number of top guys back that ran at conference last year. Maybe too early to really know a lot from the couple days of preseason you had, but what does the competition look like for those, to be in the top 5 or 10 on this team?
Yeah, I feel like I've got a pretty good mindset around where we're at. We'll know a little bit more after a 5K time trial next week, and obviously after our first race. But I was in close communication with the entire team all summer, and occasionally would have them do workouts where I'd have them send me time so I could kind of assess where they're at. And saw a lot of things where, going off of their best times in the spring in various events, they were blowing through projections based off of those times. And I was like, okay, this is looking good. And we had a time trial the other day. It went really well and had some stunning performances. But again, along the lines of what I expected based on what I was seeing coming in during the summer. So on the guys' side, you've got, like, you know, Camden Cesta is one of our strong returners, and he's a great leader, real smart guy who has the ability to speak clearly about what the needs of the team are, and he's also put in the work, and he is just crushing it right now. And then Calvin Rhodey from Michigan, he's running great right now. Michael Willweber, who wasn't able to run cross country last year because of an injury, had a great track season, was an all-conference 1500 runner for us, and he has had a great summer of training. Returners like Ethan Ponko, Owen Dawson, Wyatt Lear, all have great capability. Those are the ones at this moment from the returning group that I see being impact players right off the bat, with others right there on the cusp ready to develop.
All right, you mentioned Camden Cesta. Maybe you could go a little bit further on him. I know he wasn't, from a health perspective, where he wanted to be when conference came around last year, but was your top runner leading up to that. What have you noticed about his attitude, his level of competitiveness right now?
He's really fired up, and he definitely left something on the table, but again, not his fault. He had an injury that we've been really dug into with physical therapists, and I think we've figured out how to manage it, and it's not an issue anymore, and so that's good. But it definitely kept him from running. He was at the beginning of the season right up there in the top 6 people in the conference, and wasn't able to do that. But during the track season, he made the distance medley relay team that went to nationals. He made all conference in an event or two, and then we went into outdoor track, and he was the conference runner-up in the steeplechase, and was also able to drop a sub 4 minute 1500 in a race. He was able to he ran a 157 leg on our 4x8, and just a wide range of a speed and endurance, and he's had a phenomenal summer of training. So he is ready. He's got big goals. He's ready to go.
Well, on the women's side, fourth in a tough conference last year. I know you want to get back towards competing for another conference title. The mix of people like Carrie Bauer, and Riley Hacker, Grace Ryman are some of the leaders. How are they progressing, and how do you see that competition playing out for the women?
Yeah, again, same stories with the guys. Getting great workouts, they're feeling great. A lot of confidence coming in. Great time trial. Right now, Grace and Riley are probably my top two, and Kylan Heritage is a part of the mix, but we're working on some fundamental things to get her really, really healthy for down the road. So we don't know quite yet how that's going to play out for cross country, but she's always a factor. And Carrie has developed. She ended up helping us make All-American at Nationals in the 4x4, but she can also run a great 5K. She's a lot like Camden in that respect, and so their attitudes are great. Amy Martin and Abby Deloach add to the mix. They've gotten phenomenal training, and I've seen, they're running like I haven't seen them run in a long time, and I'm just stoked for them because these kids put in the work, and it's really paying off for them. So from a returner standpoint, that's who to look for right off the bat.
I don't know if you want to talk about the newcomers in general terms. I noticed there was an incoming freshman that won a big race, right, Kaya Richmond, not that long ago. But how does this class of newcomers shake out?
Well, talking about the women, Kaya is one of the most heralded recruits we have coming in as far as just some of her accomplishments at the state level. She has a wide range. She can run a grade 800 all the way up to a grade 5K, and she went to the USATF Junior Nationals in early August and ended up winning the national title in the 2K steeplechase. So she's a great competitor, a lot of ability, and she works hard. And then again, not to be counted out though, we've got Courtney Wright from Missouri, who ran track for the first time ever this year, was a soccer player, then COVID hit, and then she still ran really, really well, but her cross-country times are excellent. And then Raya Kashinsky is a young lady from Concordia Lutheran High School in Indiana, and she was right up there with the fastest girls in the time trial, and she is looking really, really good. Jaden Tweeten from Ashland Greenwood High School here in Nebraska is right up there with them. Caitlin Nix, a teammate of Raya's from Indiana, running great. And then Faith Williamson, who won the state title in Class D in the 1600 for her high school, St. Mary up in O'Neill. She's right there. And then there's several other girls right on the cusp of being there that could step up. We don't know how they're going to develop. On the men's side, Sam Plant made a big debut. We knew he'd do well. He ran a 156 at the state Class A state meet and placed, but helped his team win the state title for Elkhorn South. And they also ran really well in the 4x8, but he's a very fast runner who did cross country for the first time last year, and he came out in the time trial and was right there with Calvin and Camden. Luke Bentz from Indiana, Charlie Hayden from Elkhorn South, teammate of Sam's, Nathan Pennekamp from Indiana, Thomas Gorline from Missouri, Jackson Smith, a transfer from Marion High School, Waukee High School in Iowa, Joe McFarland from Columbus High School, and Zach Cloud from Grand Island Central Catholic, all talented runners, all with a wide range of fast and in the quick events and even the longer events. So I don't know how it's all going to shape out. Guys, especially freshman guys, have to get their brain wrapped around an 8K distance, which is 5 miles, and it takes them different amounts of time to gain the confidence that they have in the shorter races to be able to translate that into the longer ones. But I'm seeing great signs right now.
Right. I know the last couple of years, at least, you've had some sort of theme that the team has come up with, like close the gap and leave no doubt. Is that still in the works, or how do you kind of come up with something to focus everybody's minds towards what you want to accomplish this fall?
Yeah, we actually talked about both of those in we had a goal meeting, and I had the men and women sit separately like we do, and I told them, look, I don't want a big laundry list of detailed goals because it's really hard to keep those in your mind. I want an umbrella set of goals that everything can fit under, but more importantly, I want, and girls and guys separately, you have maybe your own reasons and motivations. I want you to dig in and do some thinking about what is your rallying call? What is something that where your team is at that you can all just cling to and go, okay, this is what it means to us. And so the women came up with Run as One. They want to be a family. They want to be a community. They want to strive for excellence within the context of a very close team. And again, it's not that we haven't had that, but it's definitely a big emphasis for them. And so the 3 subtitles under that is Strive for Excellence, Serve Each Other, Community Over Competition. And within the excellence thing, obviously, placing high at GPAC, top 2 is where they want to be, and they have that capability, and also a really high GPA like they've done in the past, to serve each other, to do things, pray for each other, do study groups together, find ways that they can, in small and big ways, be a servant to each other. And then community over competition. All of my athletes have really high expectations for themselves, and so sometimes, and this is a common thing, it's easy to get hung up on how do I compare to this person even within your team, but to recognize that the community is the biggest reason why we're doing this, and I think that's something they all want to do. On the men's side, step up. If we're going to step up as a team in the GPAC from where we've been the last few years, that means each individual has to step up in managing their life in the academic, the athletic, and the spiritual realm. And so they spent a lot of time talking about about what each of them is going to do through accountability with each other, and it was something that was really cool to hear them talk about. So step up for the men, run as one for the women.
All right, well, last thing, I know a lot of people, it seems like, talk about how the track, GPAC track is obviously great competition. I don't know if they talk about it as much with cross country, but how have you seen the conference evolve? It seems like if you're competing for a conference title, you're also going to be a player on the national scene too in cross country.
Right. Again, got to give credit to Dort, Nate Wolf, and his staff do a very good job of recruiting and developing athletes in the distance and middle distance events, and that's something, they're definitely the team to beat on both the men's and the women's side every year, at least in the 5 years that I've been here. Northwestern men have had a few good years, Northwestern women, Morningside, Coach Nash over there does a good job, and particularly on the women's side, Hastings is always a threat, and then on the men's side right now, like Doan did really well last year, and so it's a mix, but those are probably the top players. And again, you're going to see those same teams placing top 3 in the conference for track and field. Good point. So know who the teams are that we need to beat, and at the same time focusing on what we can control and taking care of business on this end, and then we see how it plays out.